good morning, everyone. Happy Forgiveness Friday. I'm Kiana Brown, your forgiveness expert, your pet groomer, your coach, whoever I may be to you. Some people are siblings, friends. However, good morning, good morning. I want to welcome you to another episode of the Healing Incubator podcast. I am truly excited to be here today because we have been talking about how to love ourselves over the past 3 weeks. Now this is week 4, and I'm just excited that you all are tuning in. I see that you are coming in. You are coming in. Of course, you all know that we are streaming this over 6 different platforms this morning, so I can't keep up with all of y'all. But what I can do is I can go in the comments and I can connect with you there. So if you're here this morning, please let me know who you are, where you're tuning in from. And if you're ready to heal, you can go ahead and hashtag I'm ready to heal. And we're doing that. We're doing that together. We're doing it as a group. We're doing it even as individuals in our lives as we're deciding to rock out and be our best selves. So if this is your first time ever tuning into the Healing Incubator podcast, here we are all about tapping into the truth so that we can forgive, so that we can get to a space of healing. And that's what life is about. Life is about learning and growing to get to your next challenge, to your next destination. One thing that I've learned, even though we may have healed in another area, we're continuously growing in our lives, so we're going to heal in other areas. And just think about all the times that you've healed in your life, right? It's truly amazing to see the hurdles and the things that you have gotten through, the challenges that you have overcome, the obstacles that tried to get in your way. Last week we were talking about speed bumps, all of the speed bumps that you just gracefully went over because you decided to tap into your truth and you forgave in whatever those areas were, and you started your healing journey. So now some of you may not be catching this live, and I want to acknowledge you as well. So if you are here and you are catching the replay, go ahead and let me know, hashtag replay, that you are here, you're tuning in. One thing I have to do right now, and I forgot to do this, is turn my phone on do not disturb, because we know sometimes we will get people who don't even know what we're doing at that time and interrupt us. And I don't want any interruptions as we're tapping into this today. Now, like I said, over the past 3 weeks, we have been dealing with how to love ourselves. We have been looking at different circumstances in our lives. And the first week, we asked ourselves the question, am I loving myself? You know, sometimes we don't even realize that we're not loving ourselves in certain areas. And, you know, you may be loving yourself so supreme in another area, but then another part of your life, you are just depleting yourself of that self-love that you could give, because you have to learn how to set some boundaries. Now, the second week we talked about how to love myself. What are some things that you could do to learn to love yourself, right? And then last week we talked about loving myself while in relationships with others. Now, today we're going to talk about enjoying time with ourselves. That's today's topic, enjoying time with me. Enjoying time with, you know, I wrote a question in the post or the summary about what this today's show was going to be about. And one of the questions that I asked was, do you like being alone? You know, some of us don't like being alone. And we have to learn that it's okay to be by ourselves. And when I was, getting everything together, all I could hear, and, you know, some of you may be Beyonce fans. I'm not a fan. I'm a fan of Jesus Christ. But however, I, like some of her music and some of the song. What is that song? It says, I'm not a singer, y'all, so do not judge me. Me, myself, and I, all I got in the end is what I found out. Now, I had all these words together when I was singing in my head, so don't laugh at me. But y'all know what I'm talking about. You got to realize that you got to learn to be by yourself. It's you, yourself, and you, yourself alone. At the end, you're going to be by yourself. You came in this world by yourself, and you're going to leave this world by yourself. And some of the times, we don't realize that We have to learn how to be by ourselves. And we don't even realize that we're in a space or a season of not being by ourselves because we attach ourselves to so many different things that we don't even realize that, hey, we're doing all of this because we don't want to be by yourself. I see some people saying good morning, and they're saying, I love being alone. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Now, we had some to dos over the past couple of weeks, and I pray that you all have tapped into this. Like the first week, the question was, am I loving myself? And we said, well, we're going to get quiet so that we can see the areas where we're not loving ourselves. The second week, how to love myself. Doing the difficult thing, right? Oh, yeah, somebody said share. Don't forget to share the podcast. I'm so into trying to talk about what we're going to talk about today that I forgot to tell y'all to share. So thank you. But also doing the difficult thing, right? Loving myself. How to love myself is doing the difficult thing. And that difficult thing can be simply you getting up to exercise when you don't feel like getting up in the morning. You're not a morning person, or preparing your meals, or making sure that you have everything in order so that you can do what you have to do. Sometimes that's the hard thing to do because we're so in a rush sometimes with our lives. And the last week we talked about loving ourselves while in relationships. And we learned about the speed bumps, but we also took away the assignment to respect your uniqueness. You know, you have to learn to respect who you are, and respecting who you are is letting other people know that you can't get in my space all the time. It cannot always be about what I can do for you, and you have to learn how to set the limits, or some people would say boundaries, on those relationships so that people do not run you over. Now, so today we're going to talk about spending time with ourselves. Now, how do you spend time by yourself? This is a question, that I'm asking out there to you. How do you spend time by yourself? Now, some of us spend time alone by scrolling up our phones. You get this phone and you go on social media and you find yourself there for hours, right? Or you might be binge watching television, or you might be catching up on your work or emails and things like that. Well, to me, I honestly don't think that that's spending time alone, because you still have the noise in your head from everything that's external, right? All of the stuff that's going on in the world, when you spend time alone, for me, I am separating myself. I am detaching myself from all of the things that are a part of my daily life. Now, yes, I'm on social media. I check social media sometimes maybe 2-3 times a day. So I'm not doing that as a regimen of spending time by myself. That's something that I always do. And so you want to make sure that you are able to get into a space where you can find your peace of mind, where you can find your peace of calm, and you can have a peace of solitude. Now, for me, that means like being alone. Now, I want to share a testimony with you all. Some of you know this, some of you may not know this. If you're just new to entering to the forgiveness expert world, I've gone through a challenge of being in prison. I was in prison for 4 years. And at the beginning of that was kind of difficult for me, because there was something that had went on inside of the prison. And when I came, I was, first of all, I was fearful of going into population. I was fearful, because, I've never been to prison. I don't know what it's like. And we watch television, we watch all of these shows, and it's people in there killing each other. I'm like, oh my God, please protect me. Like, I don't know if I can do this. Well, I had no choice, but, I didn't know where I was going to be in that space. And so for the first 30 days when I went in there, there was something going on before I had gotten to the prison where there was a security breach. And so they then in return locked the whole facility down. Lock the whole facility down. So I'm going literally from being in the outside world where I was always attaching myself to someone. Always, wanting to be with this person, wanting to be with that person, going here, going there. Sometimes I felt like I was the community driver, or the community help. I was always with somebody else, and I did not know how to be by myself. The moment, when I was free before being incarcerated, the moment that I felt lonely, I immediately reached out to see, hey, what y'all doing? What let's go do this. But now I'm in this place where I don't have that opportunity to do that. I'm in a jail cell by myself. And at the beginning of it, I didn't know how long I was going to be there. I just thought that I was going to be on hold, because when you go into jail or prison, there's like I think it's like a 48 or 72-hour hold, something like that. I can't remember. It's been so long ago. But there's a hold where you're not able to go into population, right? So I was assuming that that would be it, but it extended well beyond that. And that is where I actually first learned how to be with Kiana. I could not go out and do anything else. I could not be with anybody else. I didn't even know anybody in there. So, even though that there were cells around me, I didn't know anybody to talk to anybody. I was already afraid. And so that's when I had to deal with the inner me. That's when I had to deal with myself. That's when I had to learn to listen to Kiana. That's when I had to develop a patience and a peace, and learning how to be in solitude with myself. Because at the end of the day, I was there by myself. But I had to remember that, it wasn't necessarily all by myself, because I had to remember, it was like an aha moment. It was like, oh, you left God a long time ago, and now he's here. He's here with you. So I had to learn how to get connected back to myself again, to get connected back to God. And that's literally how I dealt with dealing with those 30 days, because I had to learn that it was okay for me to be by myself. And I got to do a lot of thinking. I got to do a lot of soul searching. I did a lot of writing. I did a lot of praying. I did so many things that I never thought I would do by myself, because when I was home, I was so busy with not wanting to be alone that I attached myself to everything and everybody so that I would not have to feel some of the emotions that I had going on within inside of me. Now, some of the emotions that I had were depression. I was always depressed because of how I looked. I didn't like how I looked. But here I had the opportunity to say, hey, you're by yourself. Let's write this plan. Let's figure out what we're going to do. We have nothing else to do. Let's figure out how we're going to make ourselves become healthier. Hey, you used to write. Let's start journaling. Get into a space where you're writing your feelings out. And so I had to relearn how to be by myself. Now, some of us, we look at where we are today. If we go back to 2020, some of you all felt how I felt when I was in prison. Some of you felt like when the world was shut down, that you were being locked up, that you couldn't do anything. And so some people had their family members, but then there were those who did not have any family members, those who lived by themselves. And so in that era, in that space, you had to learn how to be by yourself. You had to learn how to get acclimated to not having any connection to the outside world. Of course, we did Zoom. Of course, we did FaceTime. We did all of those things. But there were also moments where people were not available. And how did you deal with that space? Now, when you're in that time and you have those moments, that is the opportune time for you to realize how to love yourself. And spending time with yourself is loving yourself, because sometimes you need to decompress from all of the noise outside. All of the noise that is outside, that is blaring like a loud horn inside of your head. How do you disconnect? How do you show yourself love? Because you can become overrun by the noise and the process of the world that you forget to take that time for yourself. Now, this week I did something amazing. I did something amazing. Why do I think it was amazing? Because I said, no, this is what I'm going to do. I am going to take the time. Some of you know I am an entrepreneur. I am a wife, I am a mother, and there are many different hats that I wear. And so I decided that I was going to make me a priority. And how I made me a priority was setting a schedule and sticking to it. I decided that on this past Tuesday that I was going to have a me day, right? I was going to show me love. You know, there's so many times that we plan things like my cousin threw a birthday party for my aunt. We did that in celebration of her to let her know how much we love her. Are you planning a celebration for yourself? Well, Tuesday I planned a celebration for myself to celebrate who I am, who God created me to be, and the inner peace and the inner calm and the inner solitude that I needed to get my mind together. So let me tell you what I did. I made an appointment at the Massage Envy. Yes, I did. And I went there for 90 minutes, and I had a little Chinese guy who did my massage. I said, oh, I got me a little Mr. Miyagi today. And when I tell y'all, he did his thing. I got out of there. I was so relaxed. I went to the Whole Foods. And let me tell you, I was dealing with something that day, something emotional, right? And so I'm an emotional eater. On the way to the Massage Envy, I saw a Five Guys. And when I saw that Five Guys, I wanted to eat to my emotions. But I was so proud of myself because I made me the priority. I said, Kiana, you're going to go to Whole Foods and you're going to get something to eat from Whole Foods. You're not going to go to that place and get something that is not going to be healthy and serving for your body, right? So I went and I did that. I went to the Whole Foods. I walked around with my own leisure. There was no rush. I didn't think about, well, what's my husband doing? What's Jeremiah doing? I have to hurry up and rush and get here and get home and do, I didn't think about any of that. I was so in a space of solitude. I had so much peace and calm around me, and I was enjoying me. And so after I got my food and I did a little light shopping in there, I went to my vehicle, I turned on my phone, and I was looking at TV and I was eating. I ate the food that I got, and I just sat there in peace and I enjoyed me. I enjoyed the time spending by myself without having the mundane rush of the world facilitating where I was going to be, how I was going to be there. And so remember last week, I believe it was last week or one of these weeks in the teachings of learning to love yourself, we talked about priorities, and meaning priority means what comes before. And so sometimes we have to learn to put ourselves before other obstacles, other tasks, other challenges, other things that we have to do for other people, right? Because if we are not able to be suitable in our minds to be there for someone, to be there for ourselves, how can we be there for someone else? So learning to take that time for you is imperative. And when you learn to take that time for you, guess what you're doing? You're loving yourself, right? And so that's the topic, enjoying time with me. And when you enjoy the time with yourself, you're loving on you. Now, I just want to know what you're doing. I know some people have shared in the feed, but what are you doing to spend time with yourself? How are you enjoying loving yourself? How are you enjoying your peace, your calm, your solitude? Now, I wanted to share with you some of the things that you could potentially do. You know, to do by yourself, things to do by yourself. You can take a long drive, right? I love getting in the car. It's becoming fall now. So here in the DMV area, it's getting a little chilly, but nice summer nights, with this like a breeze, and we're still going to probably get some of those days here and there before it really the weather really switches. But taking a drive, I have a sunroof, so I pull my sunroof back. I turn on some music that I like to listen to, and I just like the atmosphere of night riding. So I'll take a drive. You can pamper yourself, right? That's what I did this week. I got a massage and I took some time for me. You can go get your hair done. Y'all know we like to go get a little style. That's loving yourself. That is enjoying spending time with yourself because you're able to enjoy, transforming just by with a hairstyle, right? Listen to music. And I like to listen to music. What I call that is my private dance party. I'm goofy. I don't know if you know that, but I am. I can be a little silly, especially when I'm by myself. Nobody knows how goofy I am when I am alone. And so I'll turn on some music and I turn into somebody and I'm just, I'm getting and I'm dancing and I'm enjoying it. But guess what that is? That's also a way to exercise, which that's loving yourself as well because you're getting the circulation moving in your body, your blood's pumping, you're able to get better oxygen as you're moving. And so that's a good way to enjoy spending time with yourself. Meditate. I love getting quiet. I love being in a peaceful place. I love just listening to what God imparts into me, right? We talked about that in the very beginning of this season that we're doing right now, these sharings. We said to get quiet so that you can listen, so that you can hear, right? And so I love to listen. Our brains, our minds are so powerful, but we don't ever take the time. Well, I'm not gonna say we don't ever. Sometimes it's far stretched that we take the time to just sit and listen and see what God is saying to you. See or listen to the thoughts that are going through your head. You can sometimes figure things out without having any external help if you just sit and be quiet, right? So meditating is an awesome thing to do. One thing that you can do is explore your faith. Last Saturday, I had some homework assignments dealing with faith work, meaning I had some papers to write that were around certain biblical topics. And so as I did that, it was really fun to explore. I have like a whole library. You can't see it. I don't know if you can see it from over here, but then there's a section over there. But there's so many books that I have that are relating to my faith, Christianity, and I dig and dive in those books last Saturday, and I was there for hours. Learning is a good way to enjoy spending time with yourself because once you learn something, guess what? Nobody can take it away. You now have a superpower that is awesome and unique to you because you now have information that you have gotten from studying, and there's nothing like learning something firsthand, right? There's nothing like going into a space and grasping information and knowledge. And then the amazing part about that is when there's conversation that comes up and you know something about it and you realize that, hey, because I took the time to indulge in caring for myself by studying and developing a knowledge that I didn't know before, that makes you feel awesome, right? So you can write in a journal. I'm an avid writer. I love to write. I'm writing almost daily. And also, here's another thing. You can write a letter to your future self. Spending time with yourself, enjoying time with you is seeing where you are today and realizing that, you don't have to stay here today. So writing a letter to your future self can just simply be like, hey, this is where I am. When I read this, I'm going to be in a different place. I'm going to be better. And just praying that you really will do that. And then also taking a walk. Taking a walk to enjoy you. Taking a walk to enjoy the nature. Just making sure that you are able to be your best you at all costs. At all costs, right? Being the best you at all costs. So many times we bank on so many other things, but are you banking on yourself? Are you saying, hey, Kiana, I can do this. Hey, whatever your name is, fill in the blank. I can do this. I'm banking on me. Not what the next person can do for me, but what I can do, what I have the strength to do, what I have the power to do. Now, before we close, because we are getting near that time, I am learning to be more time effective. That's one of the things that I've done in the area of learning to love myself, right? Because we can get so wrapped up in different tasks where now because we were supposed to be at a certain place at a certain time, we're not able to be there because we did not prioritize our time correctly. And so that's one of the ways that I show love and self-care for me, by making sure that I am putting things in their proper place at the proper time so that I don't feel inundated. Because at the end of the day, for me, when I become inundated, I become stressed, And that takes away what? My inner peace, that takes away my inner calm, and that takes away the solitude for myself. So let's look at this scripture really quick before we close and wrap this podcast up for today. Mark 6:30. You know that I always have to back it up biblically. So Mark 6, verse 30 through 32. And it reads, the apostles returned to Jesus and told him that they had done and taught all that they had done and taught. And he said to them, come away by yourselves to a desolate place and rest for a while. For many were coming and going, and they had no leisure even to eat. And they went away in the boat to a desolate place by themselves. Did you hear that? This is what Jesus told the apostles to do. This is what he told them to do after they had been toiling, after they had been teaching and sharing the gospel. He said to them, come and go away to a desolate place and rest for a while. For they had been coming and going for so long that they had no leisure, not even to eat. So that's just like us being busy, so busy, so busy, so busy that we're not even taking the time to eat. You know, I used to have a work schedule. I would work. And, I wanted to get this work done so much that I put aside my food. Spending time with myself, loving myself is taking a break to eat food so that I can have nourishment. And he said they went away in a boat to a desolate place by themselves. So it's right here in scripture. God is telling us that, yes, we're going to have to work. Yes, we're going to have to serve. And there may be some times where we don't get to do exactly what we want to do. But however, we have to learn that after we have done our work, after we have done the task, that we need to take time to ourselves and go to a desolate place alone by yourself. So guys, I just wanted to share that with you. It even says it in the word. It's not just something that Kiana's making up. It says it's right here in the scripture. After you've done your task, take some time and go be by yourself. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy being with yourself. Now, I just hope that you have found some inspiration and hope in what we've been sharing over the past couple of weeks, because we are now ending this series of how to love myself. We're ending this series, and because I got quiet and I was in a space, I said, God, what are we going to go into next month? What are we going to go into next month? So next month is what some people would celebrate as Halloween and, things of that nature. I don't particularly celebrate that holiday, but I wanted to bring something that some people would look at as to be respected for something that you would look at during the Halloween season. I know I've always heard the term, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And so I said, well, I don't really know that story. I only know, and here's another place where I took some time to learn. And I really don't know that story. I just know that people say that all the time, that this person is acting like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And so I actually took some time to learn about what the actual movie or I guess, yeah, it was a movie, what the actual movie was about. And I looked at that in such a way to realize that sometimes we have to ask ourselves a question. Are we being Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde in the areas of our lives? And sometimes we will be so kind one minute, and then the next minute we're like, So I wanted to dig into that topic for next month. Am I Dr. Jekyll or Mr. Hyde? And, if I am just that person, am I both of those people? And how often are you letting Dr. Jekyll be Dr. Jekyll? And how long are you letting Mr. Hyde be Mr. Hyde? And how do we detach ourselves from having those two different personalities living within one body? One was a positive, one was a negative. And so, I don't want to give too much away, but at the end of that, Dr. Hyde ended up taking a poison because he said, I'm tired of living this way. I'm tired of living the way because now I've developed this potion where I was able to separate myself and this person, Dr. Jekyll, I mean, Dr. Hyde lives. Wait a minute, I done got it mixed up, y'all. I'm getting too far into the story, but I'm gonna leave it right there. But what he did was he made a potion so that he could become, two people living in one, and he got tired of the other person continuously taking over. And so my question for you today is, are you tired of the negative self-talk person taking over the positive one, the one that wants to achieve and the one that wants to excel? So guys, I'm going to leave it there because we have so much more to talk about next month in that series, but I just wanted to let you know what you're going to be tuning into next month, right? So love you all. Be blessed, be blessed, be blessed. Remember that today is Forgiveness Friday, and I always thank you all for celebrating my national holiday of Forgiveness Friday because, I love to celebrate every single Friday with a message of forgiveness. And this is the day that I like to do that. I like to remember everything that God has allowed to happen in my life, how he's allowed for me to survive, how he's allowed for me to thrive, how he's allowed for things to transform in my life, right? So be blessed, and think about that today. Think about how God has allowed for you to walk in your truth, how he's allowed for you to forgive, and how he is definitely allowing for you to forgive. So guys, I will see you soon. I love you with the love of the Lord, and continue to have a blessed and beautiful day.